Hey, all you cool cats, ready for a little fun? That's what I thought. Pop Talk, Scooby-Doo-Wah, Pop Talk. The fun never stops, you know. Pop Talk. If you're a nerd or a jock, run, don't just walk. Get ready to rock, you got Pop Talk.
Now, from Funko Hollywood, it's time for Pop Talk.
Hey everybody, Brian Mariotti. Welcome to another episode of Pop Talk. Our guest today, guitar god Kirk Hammett from one of the biggest bands in the world, Metallica. Welcome aboard, man.
Glad to be here, bro.
Thanks. So hey, usually the first question out is, what do you collect? But you are kind of a high-profile collector. Everybody knows it's monster movie memorabilia, and you've taken it on tour. Thousands of people have seen the collection, which is so cool. So we're going to bypass that question, but I am going to ask you, what's one item that you absolutely would love to have in your collection but you don't have right now?
Oh, man. Because that's a long list, bro.
Oh, I know it is. It's always a list. Yep.
I'm most passionate about the horror movie posters, from the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. And the most rare ones are from the 20s and 30s. And the sizes also kind of direct, how rare a piece is. And what usually shows up with a lot of those posters are the one-sheet sizes, but then more rare are the three-sheet sizes, and even rarer are the six-sheet sizes. And then the next size after that is a 24-sheet, right? It would be amazing to have a Bride of Frankenstein 24-sheet. And the image on that is of the monster holding the bride, and it's an illustration, it's not an actual scene from the movie. To find one of those, it'd be epic. Yeah,
George Lucas has his movie poster collection on display at the Star Wars, basically, offices, and I think I know the size you're talking about. They're massive.
Massive.
Absolutely massive.
Billboard size.
Yeah. That's crazy, that's crazy.
Yeah, and so I heard about 20 years ago that there actually was one, but
yeah.
You hear that all the time. Yeah,
it's good to have a grail. I think all of our collectors love the idea that there's something out there that's maybe unattainable to shoot for. And then, of course, when they get it, then there's always another grail right afterwards, right?
I've actually experienced that like a couple times. One of my favorite horror movies is The Black Cat, the one from 1933 with Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff. And one day I was looking through an auction catalog and I saw that they had the outfit that Boris Karloff actually wore in that movie.
Oh, wow.
And, there wasn't a whole lot of attention being drawn to it in the catalog. It's just stuck in the corner of the catalog. And I saw that, and I literally couldn't believe it. And so I ended up with it. And now a piece from that movie, a real prop from that movie. And it's one of my best pieces.
So we're going to get into hard-hitting questions now, the ones that you're really going to have to think about. You love monsters. I love breakfast cereal. Blueberry, Frankenberry, or Count Chocula. Which one of those cereals are your favorite?
I did like Blueberry. I liked that you looked like Peter Lorre.
Yeah.
And so
heavy eyelids.
Yeah. And I'm partial to blueberries, but I always thought that the coolest one was Count Chocula. He had a certain suave and sophistication.
Something about drinking blue milk when you're done, though. Blue milk goes a long way for me.
Cereal milk in general is just you have to work for it.
What's a band that you love that a Metallica fan would go, oh my God, Kirk loves that band? It would surprise people.
Oh, yeah, actually, I love all types of music. I just don't like bad music.
Yeah.
And for me, I love the association. It's this band from the 60s, and there were 4 singers, and they did that song Windy, that band.
Okay,
I love their harmonies, I love their arrangements.
What makes you think love will end when you know that my whole life...
Being Asian American, there was an Asian American in that band, and I think he was one of the very first Asian Americans in pop music.
Very cool.
Yeah, so it was very cool to find that out too.
Other than Metallica albums, we have to leave those out. What's your favorite album cover visually of all time? Just something that your mind immediately goes to, oh my God, when I saw that album come out, that is just the coolest looking album.
There's so many great album covers out there and so many memorable ones. But the one that made me want to buy the album and it totally fulfilled everything that I expected it to be was their very first Iron Maiden album.
Yeah.
You know, with Eddie on the cover. I saw that, my friend John Marshall and I saw that, and we're just like, that's something we need to get. And I flipped it over and it all looked familiar, you know, guitar, bass, drums, lead singer, they're all dressed in leather, you know, they had the look. I checked the titles, Phantom of the Opera, okay, yes, I'm buying this. I hadn't even heard it,
Yep.
and yes, my hunch was correct.
Nice, very nice, it's a great answer. Greatest horror movie villain and why?
Well, you know, it's probably obvious, you know, Satan, come on, he's in so many of those movies.
Yes, it is obvious.
It's obvious.
It's right there. Who's your favorite lead singer of all time?
It kind of changes, you know, from time to time. I mean, I have a real opinions on vocalists. It's like, I like it when someone can sing in key and like sings full, has like a real good like, you know, intensity. You know, I like old school singers like, you know, Ian Gillan, Paul Rodgers, Robert Plant, Ronnie James Dio, you know, Ozzy, Rob Halford, you know, those kind of singers who can like basically sing anything.
Yeah.
You know, anything you throw at them, they'll be able to sing it. But then, on the other hand, Joe Strummer has the best voice in the world. You know, the guy could sing anything and make it great. He can sing so horaciously out of key, and you're just loving it. You know.
I always go back to Chris Cornell and Jesus Christ Pose. I mean, that guy just belted. I mean,
yeah,
man,
he's another
pipes,
one.
Yeah,
he's
just
another one.
Amazing. Favorite Halloween candy?
You know, this is gross, but when I was a kid, I liked those wax things.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The wax lips,
wax vampire teeth.
Yeah, the teeth. And,
Yep. It's like whatever little juice, whatever
that red dye number 4.
Yep. Favorite costume you can remember as a kid? Like you just were so excited to wear that costume for that Halloween.
There's been more Halloweens than not that I've dressed up like the Frankenstein monster. Okay. So I mean that I fall into that character really well on Halloween. You know, it's funny because like one time I dressed up as Satan, and I went to a party. And at this party was Chris Isaac, and he looked at me, and he's like, kind of looked like a satanic Sammy Davis Jr. I was like, thanks, Chris.
Give me one dish that you can cook well.
I can cook, not just one dish, but
good.
Numerous dishes well. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm not modest when it comes to cooking.
It's okay.
I can throw like all sorts of stuff together and make it taste good. I make a really, really great vegetarian lasagna.
There you go.
Yeah, and lasagna's like a really easy crowd pleaser, you know.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
What's the favorite thing to do when you're not working?
Play my guitar. Wait, is that?
That's kind of working.
That's kind of working.
Perfecting your job.
You know, I surf. I hang out with my girlfriend. I watch a lot of horror movies.
Yeah.
I'm an obsessive reader, so whether it's on the computer or in books or on magazines, I always find myself reading. But you know, I'm actually very, very simple kind of person. I play guitar, you know, I surf, I hang out with my family. Yeah, I'm really just like, you know, not that really that complicated when it comes to like, you know, doing stuff in my spare time.
Speaking of doing stuff, you started a pop. You're going to start building a pop for us.
Yeah, you know,
you went with a rock and roll black hair. I can see that right now. So
yeah, but you know what? It's just like there's not holes for things I want to stick stuff into. Like, you know, that would be great if I could do that. You know,
we get some kind of knife on set. We can just have them punch holes in things.
Or maybe like a soldering.
Yeah, soldering gun, a lot of Gorilla Glue. Gorilla Glue.
Gorilla Glue.
Okay, so I have a weird obsession with like bands covering songs you would never think they would cover, right?
Yeah,
so my favorite
me
song,
too.
my favorite song you guys have ever done is One. And if I had a band to cover One, I'd want Radiohead to take a stab at what one would be. I just
wow, you know, that's a very inspired sort of like choice there.
Yeah, because like, what would they come up with? Like, how would they? I mean, so take your favorite Metallica song, and what band would you want to cover? Just again, someone maybe not so obvious, and it's like, what would they come up with, right? If they did that.
You know, I would say, you know, it'd be interesting if a band like. Okay, so you know that Icelandic band Sigur Rós?
Literally my favorite band of the world.
Yeah, maybe they could do a stab at Dyer's Eve or something, you know?
Okay. I think they're the greatest band in the world. I've never understood one lyric, because you can't, right? His voice is an instrument. It's like an extra instrument in that band.
Exactly, like the Cocteau Twins, you know? It's just another like layer of sound, you know?
Yeah, I think the first time I've heard any of their music, it was like it was from a different planet. No one had ever done. Well, they put a name to it now, post-rock, but no one's ever done post-rock like that. What an awesome answer. Who is your famous movie, or anybody, movie, TV, actress, I don't know, what's your favorite crush?
Ava Gardner.
Okay, there you go.
And Elizabeth Taylor.
Those are good ones. I'm fascinated with people that get to spend more time in Hawaii than like the obligatory week when you go on vacation. What's the best thing about living in Hawaii?
The best thing about living in Hawaii is definitely waves, bro. Yeah. And like last week, it was the best of the summer because in Honolulu you get the summer season and all the swell comes up from the south, from Australia, New Zealand, that kind of direction, and it hits the South Shore and. Sometimes it's like a machine. You'll get like 5 or 6 days with just incredible waves, and it's great because everyone's so happy in the water, and everyone's going, "Hey, did you surf yesterday? Tomorrow's going to be great too." And it's just like the feeling, of getting great waves, catching the swell, and just experiencing it with all the other local surfers is really, 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 really cool.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
But the flip side of that is when there's not that many waves and like when the waves come in and they're small and people are like aggro and like people are dropping in on each other and calling each other names. That's the flip side of that.
All fighting for 3-footers, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Favorite all-time song?
Why are you doing this to me?
I told you these are really hard questions I was going to ask. And
that is a really hard question. Okay, so I would say one of my all-time favorite songs is that sentimentally. It isn't because it's a particularly great song or whatever, but it had to be Shoot Shoot from UFO when I was 15 or 16 years old. Shoot, shoot, shoot it, boy, you got it. Just learning how to play guitar in my room. I first heard that song earlier that afternoon. I was just like so blown away by the guitar playing and just the riffs and everything and I learned it, and it gave me a real like sense of accomplishment because it was, first of all, it was UFO, a band that wasn't like any other bands in America at that time in the late 70s, and no one really knew who UFO was. To this day, a lot of people don't know. But when I learned that song, it gave me a real sense of accomplishment because I could play it from beginning to end and the guitar solo. And then I proceeded to play it like throughout all my teenage years, in my bedroom, just alone with the recording. And so when I look back at that time, I think, wow, that song is kind of like, it was a big part of my development as a guitar player and just like finding my style because it just kind of like it has a lot of the elements that I learned then that I still use now today in Metallica and in my playing. Very basic elements, but it's still there. And so that's why it's my favorite song, I think.
That's probably gonna be the best answer I ever have to that question that you
really
have. So probably, absolutely. Favorite Universal monster? I think I know this, but let's for the fans.
Well, I love Frankenstein's monster. Yeah. It's just like, and then the Mummy, and then Drac. Yeah, goes in that order. Creature.
I know you like comics. So what's a comic holy grail that you'd like to have?
That's a hard one too because there's so many great comics in there. But it would be great. If I could just like really spend some time and just like get all the Bronze Age comics that I read when I was a kid, which was like the first 50 issues of like Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, Tales of Mystery, Tales of Suspense, Doctor Strange, all that's the X-Men, Daredevil, all first 50 issues from like 1961, 62 to like 66, 67. The classic Jack Kirby stuff.
Yeah.
I would want to get like full runs of all that stuff.
I always go back to like baseball cards for me. Like remember like I had from about 73 to about 77, 78, full sets of tops. And you can visualize some of the baseball cards are your favorite. Probably the same thing you're thinking about. You can memorize those comic covers that you had and how iconic they were. And that stuff from the childhood is so powerful when it comes to collecting and just influencing you as you go older.
Bro, I just like, me and my friends, buy baseball cards, and then we would play games, to try to win each other's cards, and I would always lose.
What was the first that you can remember, the first piece of music, either an album or a cassette that you bought with your own money? That you went out and said, okay, I have some money, whether it was chores or whatever it was, and you're like, I'm gonna go to the record store and buy this.
Partridge Family.
Wow.
Christmas album. The Christmas album.
Awesome.
It was green and came with a red envelope that was stuck in a slit in the album cover. So you took the red envelope out and opened it up, and it was a Christmas card saying Merry Christmas.
So good. What was your favorite cartoon growing up?
Man, I loved those Marvel cartoons,
Yeah.
And Spider-Man, of course. But you know what? To this day, I think the Flintstones are still really, really funny.
Favorite ride at Disneyland?
Haunted Mansion.
There you go. I mean, not that I had to ask that, but I asked it anyways. What's the best gift you can remember from your childhood?
The Lost in Space robot. I bought all the Aurora Monster models myself. I had to earn the money and go out and buy it. So none of that stuff was ever like gifts, but that Lost in Space robot was, and it was cool.
Agreed. If you weren't a musician, what do you think you'd be?
A magician.
Very close.
No. I'm just kidding. I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I can cook.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I would have went to culinary school. I'm really good at collecting stuff.
There you go. I mean, how lucky are you get to answer that question and not have to really ever think about it, right? It's worked out. It's worked out pretty darn good for you.
Well, to be honest, that's why I even have a collection. It's because,
pretty good.
Well, it's just like the idea was, I would always from the very beginning of my music career, just invest money into my collection in case something happened. My music career, I had, all those assets in my collection, and you know how collections are. They they grow in value, and I was just going to figure it out from there.
Yeah.
So that was part of my plan B.
It's good. It's good plan B.
Yeah.
If you could play guitar on it, like you did it last night, you were just telling me, show up as a guest guitarist for any band in the world, either currently alive, currently together, or current. Which band would it be?
Band of Gypsies.
There you go.
That would have been amazing. The big band of Gypsies that was at Woodstock, with the congos and Jimmy and the second guitar player, I forget what his name was, Tony or something, and he had like 2 or 3 guys on percussion. That's the band.
Okay. Kiss or the Beatles?
Kiss.
Okay.
Come on, man.
Kiss Destroyer. Talking about iconic album visuals. Kiss Destroyer, right?
I remember walking.
Lost my mind when I saw that album.
I remember walking to a Payless and walking by the record section and that catching my eye and going over and going, is this a Frank Frazetta cover? And going, Ken Kelly, yeah, he did a lot of creepy and eerie covers. This must be good.
Yeah.
Again, it was that kind of thing,
Yeah.
I recognized it from, my comic book, horror movie kind of experience and made a connection thinking, this might be something I like. Yeah. And I turned it over. God of Thunder? Okay, this is this will work.
So we were lucky enough to have you on a couple years back at Funko Fun Days with our manic crowd.
Yeah, that was crazy.
What was that like to see? Because you're used to raucous crowds, right? It's your job, but to see that experience of people that love toys and collectibles, which we know is near and dear to your heart. What was that like?
It was, I've never seen anything like that before, man. It was great. I was just like, yeah, I got all caught up in the excitement of it all. As you can tell, I was
it's like for
I had the biggest smile when I came out there. I was like, yeah, right on.
Yeah, for one day a year, I get to be like you. I get to go on stage and just see this crowd and like, oh my God, what am I doing on here? But they feed you with such energy, man. They are there. The smiles on their face. They love it, and it is. I'm glad to have you. There it is. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so,
wow, how'd you do that? That's pretty nifty.
That's fancy. Isn't that fancy? What's it like to be popped? We always ask that because it's kind of different, right? I mean, the old days it was bobbleheads for baseball players, and it was action figures. But now, obviously, pop is the biggest collectible on the planet. What's it like that? I know fans have walked up to you and say, "Hey, can you sign this?" Right? What's it like?
I sign them almost every show.
Yeah.
I mean, without a doubt, and it's great because it's just like I feel like I'm part of this wonderful Funko universe. It's like it has all these amazing characters in it. I mean, I could take my Funko character and put it next to Nosferatu, and then have a little conversation. I love that. I mean, my character can walk over to the baby Yoda and have a real imaginary conversation.
I love it.
It's just like I can't do that any other way. It's great. Seriously, it is wonderful. It's great. It's killer to be a part of the Funko. Oh my God! Look at this! Look at this!
Hey, what about mine? What about mine?
Oh my God! Where'd you go from? All right. Here, have a seat.
How you doing, my friend?
Doing great.
Bass from Metallica making a guest appearance here.
I got one here too.
Here, have a seat, bro. Oh, have a seat. Have a seat. There you go. Okay.
There we are. Now it's the first time ever. All right, I love it. Hey, so hey, you guys, thanks for coming on. Anything you guys want to talk about? What's going on? What's interesting for you guys?
I brought you some coffee.
All right, I love that.
Yeah, Greenie Blues, and we have a new album coming out. But actually, it's kind of like an older album that's being re-released. Right, Rob?
That is an awesome chair, by the way.
We're very pro here. I mean, this is very pro, very pro.
Yeah, it's the Black Album. It's being re-released for 30th anniversary, and along with its re-released is the Blacklist album, and it's going to be a number of bands. What is it, 47 bands or something like that?
55 bands or 155 bands.
It's like
that's a lot of bands.
A crazy amount of bands interpreting the tracks from the Black Album.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and when we put the word out there, we had gotten so many amazing responses that we just figured, let's just use them all.
Yeah. What was the most surprising band that kind of signed up for the project, and just the end result was just wow? I mean,
well, without a doubt, for me, it was Kamasi's thing, and then the opportunity came up to play with him, and Rob and I were just like, of course we will, because we're big fans of his, and that genre of music in general, modern jazz, and he's just kind of like on the cutting edge of the jazz world right now. So it was a real honor to be able to play with him.
Kirk and I often put ourselves in these situations where we're trying to learn and grow as musicians, even outside of, Metallica. And he did an interpretation which was very unique and completely different than the original. Everyone seemed to enjoy it. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
hey,
really great.
Before we forget, Kirk, show everybody your pop that you made.
All right, this is a wannabe me, because I could never grow that kind of beard. But I do like to go fishing for bass occasionally.
There you go.
So this is me with the fishing pole.
All right.
Yeah, and the beard that can't grow.
Guys, thank you so much. Rob, Kirk, thank you so much.
Right,
thanks again for joining us.
Cheers, man.
All right.